Well, hey there, ladies and gentlemen. So this is going to be the first of our 3 slow changes videos. And this one is going to be over weathering. And y'all remember the red rocks that we did in the lab, right? So with weathering, okay, this is the breaking. Remember? Oops. Remember the ends of my W are broken to show that weathering is broken. Remember that? Okay? And so this is the breaking down and wearing away. It's the breaking and wearing down and wearing away, of rock. And we have 4 agents. Remember we were talking, we had 4 agents that we talked about. And that first one was water. And then the second one, wind. Good job. Number 3. Ooh, I think I heard somebody say ice. And then number 4, plants. Good job. Y'all remember that big huge plant, that big huge tree that split that huge rock in half, right? Yeah. So, plants can cause a lot of damage too. So, water. When we have the weathering of water, when water is the weathering agent, water will dissolve minerals. Okay. And this is found in caves. Okay. And it makes huge caverns. Okay. And then we have the stalactites and the stalagmites. I don't know if I talked to every class about that, but we will. So this is moving water. That carries rough pieces of sand, and that chips the rocks. Okay? So, oh, forgot the pictures. So, for weathering, sorry about that. Got the little dude, right? Got the little man. Holding a chipping hammer. And he's chipping away on that rock, right? And then I have little pieces of rock coming off as he chips away. Alright? Oh, forgot this stuff flying off up here. So, this is my chipping hammer. And it's chipping away bits of rock. Okay? So, this big rock then gets broken down in these little bitty rocks, right? Good job. So then, the water. In a cave situation, we have our cave, right? So we have this land up here. and then it rains. And when that rain hits the water, or hits the land, it's going to do what? Correct, it's going to go down into the ground. So then what happens, I have this big hole. And all this water is dripping. And it's making stalactites. Okay. And then this water continues to drip, right? So then what happens is it drips and drips and drips, and then we have stalagmites. Okay, so then we have stalagmites. So our stalactite, stalagmite, this is water dripping. Okay, and this here is the ground. Dripping and seeping. I'm just going all the way down. Okay? But then, when we have a river, however, so we have river water. Okay. And then we have this big boulder sitting here. It's going to break off too, right? As that water's going by. So we have the bits of rock. And this rock gets smoother. Okay? So that's the water. So the water will dissolve the minerals that is found in caves, like here. There's the water dripping through the ground. And then in the moving water, however, carries off those rough pieces and kind of sands down the rocks that we have. Okay? The next agent is wind. And wind can contain sand that wears away so it wears away rock like a piece of sandpaper. We'll see this in another lab that we're going to do. Okay? I'm not going to be very good at this picture, just FYI. So, I've got this rock formation, right? Okay? And the wind's blowing, blowing, blowing. And it's got bits and pieces of sand in it, right? So this is my rock formation before. And this is my rock formation after. Okay? So we still have wind blowing. We still have bits and pieces of rock. So we still have bits and pieces of sands, but because of this abrasion from the sandpaper-like stuff, it mounds that out. Okay, so do you see how jagged and stuff it is up here? And then as the sand goes by, it kind of rounds it out and evens it out. Okay, so whenever we see mountains that have got these jagged edges on them, these would be new mountains. Okay, so those would be an example like the Rocky Mountains. But when you have mountains that are kind of mounded like so, those are going to be old mountains. Okay, so these are new mountains and these are old mountains. Okay, so then we have ice. Okay, so we were talking about the liquid water, right? It gets trapped in those cracks in the rocks. So the liquid water collects in the cracks of a rock. Cracks of a rock. Then it can freeze. Then it can freeze. Freezing expands, because remember we were talking about that water when it freezes, so it's going to expand freezing expands water. The expanding water, or expanding ice rather, the expanding ice pushes against the rock. And what does it do when it pushes against the rock? I think I heard it. Did I hear somebody say it? So the expanding ice is going to push against the rock and it's going to break it. Break it or crack it. Okay, so we have this mountain, or this rock rather, so we've got a little crevice in it, right? Okay. Then when that water comes down, okay, so that water comes in there, and what is it going to do? Correct, it's going to freeze so then the water freezes. And then it makes little cracks in these rocks, right? So then we have deeper holes. Okay. And I have little cracks here, right? So these holes get a little deeper, right? Okay. And then I have more cracking. And eventually, what's going to happen, eventually, this will break off. Okay. Eventually, this ice is going to push so hard that this right here is just going to fall off and roll down here. Does that make sense? Okay. So then plants. What do plants do? Plants play a role in this too, right? Okay. So, what happens? A plant seed gets in a hole, right? Gets in the hole of a rock and sprouts. And when a plant sprouts, what does it have? What does it have? Right. So then, the plant roots push into the rock, and start to break it. Okay? So, over time, as the plant grows, the roots will break the rock into pieces. Okay. And there are some really good pictures of that I will show you as soon as I can find them. So, we have our rock, right? We have our rock. It's got a little hole in it. Our little plant seed. Okay? Starts to grow, right? Okay? But as it gets bigger, it kind of breaks this rock. So if this is a tree, this has a big old huge root system, right? So now I have two pieces of rock. So this right here is one big rock, and then this here is a rock, and this here is the rock. So I have rock here and rock here. Okay? So I think I can get it all in here. So that is weathering. Okay? And again, weathering is a slow change. How do you remember they're slow? Because turtles move slow, right? Our four agents of weathering are water, wind, ice, and plants. Okay? And weathering is when I'm breaking it. I'm breaking the rocks. Okay? And eventually, these rocks are going to be so broken that they're going to make soil. Okay? So, thank you for listening and paying attention and answering the questions that I walked through the video. And I hope that y'all have a great day.